Welcome to what is gonna be my last video for a whole heck of a heap. I guess a whole heck of a heap's in relative terms, but essentially it's because the disc I have of GT Sport, which is the only copy I have, by the way, never buy a disc copy of a thing anymore. You have to physically go to the store and use up gas or electric or whatever you use, and there's no point in it, especially when it breaks, which is what happens here. I didn't do anything different. I cleaned the disc. I did everything I could. I turned off and back on PS4. And I cleaned the disc. I took it out. I put it back in. I tried everything I could, and there was nothing different about the disc than there was before, but now it just simply ain't working. And I mean, there's factual proof right yonder showing as an unrecognized disc. And then here's the actual, like, package that GT Sport came in. Like, look, the disc is in there, but it's not registering, so I could just buy GT Sport again, but as I've said before, GT Sport is not what I expected it to be. I don't really think with this game in particular, Polyphony Digital deserves more money out of me. Certainly not the worst game in the world. Again, I give it about a 6 out of 10. But I'm also not going to buy a game that's 6 out of 10 twice, that's for sure. Unless GT Sport gets something amazing like track editor in the future or quick matches or something like that, I'm not going to buy it again. Probably by the time you watch this video, it'll be a little bit before the next FI Championships, which supposedly will be where we see Spa again and see the Porsche Taycan and all that stuff. I mean, that's nice and all, but we have Spa and GG6. It's not exactly anything new. The Porsche Taycan is a car. GG6 had over 1,000 cars, and just ultimately, while GT Sport's still going to get a little bit more content, it's not going to get $20 worth of content, which is pretty much what the game is selling for. I can probably find a used copy for cheaper, but again, it would be used physical copy, and then eventually I'd just be back in the same situation again. And with the PS5 coming out holiday 2020, I'm not guaranteeing I'm getting that, but if GT7 is a launch title with PS5, I highly doubt it'll happen, but if it does happen, then I will guarantee I will get it. I can almost certainly guarantee GT7 won't be a launch title for it, but if it is, I'll get the PS5 at launch. And then my channel will probably be back active with new content and stuff. Of course, by holiday 2020, I would be at a college and have a job and all that, so as I've said before, I wouldn't necessarily be guaranteeing a lot of content, but nonetheless, there'd be content. But for now, there's just nothing left to make content with. Of course, there still is Wreckfest, but essentially, the point of Wreckfest isn't necessarily the narrative of trying to get through sport mode and better yourself and deal with the penalties and trials and tribulations there. Essentially, just knock the holy shnikes out of the other cars, which is cool to watch, but I feel like I add more Specialtatin and stuff with GT Sport than Wreckfest. I enjoy Wreckfest much more as a game than GT Sport. But still, anybody can upload their clips of Wreckfest. I mean, the PS4 has a share function. And ultimately, what I've always said from the very beginning of my channel is, while I don't have the resources to make the videos a high picture quality, I always try to make the videos a high entertainment quality. Of course, y'all can be the judge of that, but if y'all are still here at this point, I assume y'all at least judging fairly decently. And I very much thank y'all for that through the years, and will this be the very last year of my channel? No, but could my channel end up being gone for over a year? Maybe, but I would say more than likely I will come back near the end of Drive Club if that disc doesn't break. I have that game as a disc as well, so wish me luck on that. Drive Club is ending March 31st, 2020, the online portion at least, and that's essentially the main part of Drive Club I play. So most likely early to mid-March or something, depending on how much time I have. I'll come back and try to do something with Drive Club, because as long as I've played the game, and I've done plenty of videos of it on the channel as well, it deserves some type of send-off. Because ultimately, it's the best-selling racing game on the PS4. It outsold GG Sport, and yet the company failed. Take that as you may, deciding on the fate of GG Sport, but GG Sport has decided my fate in and of itself. The disc ain't working. Is that necessarily knock on PD or whatever? I don't think so. I think it's just essentially I have 40-something thousand miles on GG Sport, and I go back and forth from college as well, so there's probably some wear and tear on the disc and all that, bringing them to and back and all that, so it's just rip, I guess. Rest in Pujos. Rest in God, that's a stupid joke. There isn't much more of the stupid jokes left, folks, though. Of course, I can specialize just random stuff. Again, I could do Wreckfest, just quality over quantity is what I attempt to do, but then yet I also have over 1,500 videos. But back in 2017 or so, when GG Sport was looking good, I could do 2 videos a day over summer vacation because 1, I had the time to, and 2, I had the quality content to. Now, I mean, I'm just straight up admitting, without GG Sport, there ain't exactly content there. I guess what I could do for my channel's future, where Wreckfest is kind of pointless too, I could just do GG Sport YouTuber Showcase again. But the problem with that is GG Sport in and of itself is getting less and less worth showcasing as time goes by. While there's plenty of good YouTubers out there, GG Sport the game itself is kind of eh. So, I'll say this. If y'all want me to support your channel, whether it be subscribe or like videos or watch videos or even do a video on your channel, as always and forever, I will do that. Because it's not like I physically can't record anymore, it's just I don't really have content to record anymore. So if you want me to shout out your channel, I will. Just put it in the description. If you say in the description you want to shout out your channel, by default your channel will be there because you'd be doing it on your channel, so just say so if you want me to. Beyond that, though, I don't have much video ideas. I might do channel shoutouts if people want me to, and then I will hopefully come back to Drive Club in March of next year. But until then, unless like a miracle happens, like GG Sport actually gets some aspects of GG6 and on Mac. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. It took a year to even get Spa. Definitely not gonna get quick matches or something. Or if GG7 is just flat out announced as a launch title for PS5, there isn't much for me to do. If GG7 gets announced before March or so, I'll probably do a video or maybe a few, depending on what all's announced, analyzing that, because ultimately that would be the future of my channel, so I may as well start when the information is there. But there's no guarantee that's going to happen. So, yeah, this is unplanned, obviously. I didn't mean for the disc to get broken or anything. But ultimately, the disc has been like this for about 18 or so hours now, so I've had some time to think about what to do from this on. And I've thought about the options of just like Specialtatin, Wreckfest, and all that. I don't have as much time to record as I said, but essentially have been recording the last month or so would be how I'd continue. But this, again, I don't really see Wreckfest as being all that feasible for quality content. I don't want to do content and just have it there. I'd prefer to have it be meaningful. I'm not knocking the Specialtatins I've done in Wreckfest in the past, just because I haven't done tons of them. But the more I do of them, the less unique they're gonna get. So, while ones are there and they're good, the more ones that are there, the less overall they will be good. And there's other games as well. There's the Crew 2 still. There's even the original Crew, which I actually checked there, and it still has summit events that are still pretty cotton picking unique. And there's still about 800 or so people per week that play those. So if y'all want to see a throwback to the Crew 1 video, I'm somewhat thinking about doing that. I'll see adventures of that. What do y'all want to see? Like one video to do a throwback to Crew 1 to see how it's going in 2019? But that would literally only be like one video. So that's about the last idea I have for now, really. I wouldn't exactly say I'm good enough in either of the Crew games to just do the weekly summit events and so tutorials and stuff on that. While I'm good at Drive Club, the only people really that's playing at Drive Club are also good at the game at this point. So I'll wait till pretty much the end of it to do something on it, because at that point I can't wait anymore. I have to do something on it or the game just goes away without notice, and that just doesn't seem fair. So ultimately, yeah, folks, that's it. I mean, that's sad and such, but as I've said since the very beginning, too, I'm very much thankful for y'all being here, because I know I'm certainly not the best in any way with GG Sport content. It's amazing that I even got to this point. It's far from the best looking content, that's for sure. There's no denying that. And I wouldn't exactly say I'm the most entertaining person either. I just seem to fit a niche. Lately, as I've also sort of said, that niche is I'm the guy that rants about GG Sport, but hopefully I fit some type of other niche in there for some other entertainment purpose, whatever that may be. And I'm not permanently going away. I'd say even if GT7 ain't a launch title on PS5, if the next GT that comes out of GT Sport 2, I might not get it. But more likely than not, it's looking like it'd be something like GT7, whether it's called GT7 or if it's GT8 or whatever. If it's a GT number game and it has like 500-600 cars at launch, something like that, or more, hopefully, I'll get it and I'll play it, and that's content. And hopefully I can get it like the old days and have it be happy and upbeat and not I'm that guy that rants about GT Sport. I don't like ranting about a franchise that I've been a fan of for 20 of its 22 years of existence, but I'm also not someone that says lay down and go with the flow. If something's wrong, I'll mention it. So I guess that's something too, as I could just theoretically continue with that guy that rants about GG Sport, but now I don't have my own content to rant about. So essentially I just have to rant about something that gets ad or broken in the game or whatever that I myself can't actually use, and that just straight up doesn't seem fair. I don't want to give an opinion about something that I physically can't play. Because essentially then I'm just basing my opinion on other people's opinions, and other people's opinions you just see for yourselves. So, yeah, with GG Sport not working now, I don't really have much to work with, and well, I guess essentially just on a hiatus till next March, I guess. Again, there's a chance I could come back if GG Sport miraculously gets really good content. I guess I will give PD my money again, or attempt to look for a used copy, but that's even more risky. I don't know. Or if GG7 is announced or whatever, but since it's going to be this long till I'm back again, I guess I may as well attempt to go of something memorable instead of just out with an unplanned kind of downtrodden video like this, I guess. None of my videos are scripted, but at least when I do a video, usually I have somewhat of a plan of what I'm gonna say. It's not scripted, but I have a general idea of where to take the video. With this, I don't. Again, I gave it some thought before I made the video, but it's hard to think about the future when there's nothing in the future set in stone yet. So I can say what I want to say now, but as much as I can think and as much time as I give, I still don't know about the future at this point. But in the past, I sort of kind of had a general idea of it. So for now, I'll just end to hopefully close it out into the future with something in the somewhat more recent past. I'll end with a Specialtatin and not what I've done Specialtatins of recently that turns into rants. I'll try my best to end quite a negative video, possibly the most negative we really had on the channel overall, on a positive note, I guess. Let's end with Specialtatin of a GG Sport mode race, which that in general sounds cringy if y'all know me, and if y'all are here at this point, I guess y'all at least know me decently. So, yeah, here we go. And with the negative, let's truly end on a positive, like I'm ending the negative now, so let's end at least till March on a positive. And once it is March, it again kind of be like this video in and of itself. It's a negative point, but I'll try to sort of end it on a positive way. Like, I'll try to end Drive Club like I ended with GG6 videos. While it's very much a negative, the game itself online is ending, I'll try to put as much of a positive light on the game as I can. Y'all seem to like my last few GG6 videos, so I'll try to do a format of that with Drive Club. But again, that ain't till March. For now, though, hopefully this will hold you off with it. Because you know what? I might as well end kind of like how I started the channel. We're upbeat with, again, this is my real accent, and then more exaggerated like this. Like, I'd still consider this my main accent. This is just more of the Specialtatin accent. Let's end it sort of the way that I started my channel. This race kind of ended up like the Dirty Endurance Racing League. It was in GG Sport. In a sport mode, it wasn't the cleanest in the world. People were battling for the win, but in a fun way, like the beginning of the Dirty Endurance Racing League. So while this is essentially the end of the end, not even the beginning of the end, this is it till March. Well, this ain't the biggest positive where I'm starting, but I'll just say it ends on a decent enough positive. Let's get into it, folks. This is Tucker Expressway, but not Central Outer Loop. This is one with the incredibly long straightaway. It's honestly is a bit boring in Group 4 cars, I ain't gonna lie. I don't think anyone's really gonna deny that, or lie about it. It's not the most interesting race on paper, so I didn't do much of a qualifying effort for this one because it's not the most interesting race on paper. But when there's a lot of other cars in the field, it's at least decent. Let's all give GT Sport credit where it's due. While less people are playing the game now, at least the matchmaking process still makes for decent enough cars racing against each other. Are the cars racing against each other decently? As good as the game will allow, but at least it makes for a decent amount of cars that are racing against each other. There's a difference between a decent amount of cars racing with each other and the cars being able to race with each other decently, but I'll kind of leave that for y'all to ponder over the period I'm gone. I was trying to say a number of months that I'm gone, but I can't even do that math in my head anymore. How many months is it till like March now? I'm not even going to try and figure that out. Well, Specialtatin because I'll get so unfocused now. Math is meant to be done on a calculator in 2019, folks. It really cotton picking is. Like, I did decent in high school and such. I ended high school, granted, it was literally went to one of the worst high school districts in the nation. Kentucky's bad in schools in general, and I was in one of the worst districts in one of the worst states. But I ended high school with like a 3.9 GPA or something. I'm still not good at math. What was I talking about? I guess nothing in general, because as of now I'm just working my way through the field. But with this being sort of the average field of GG Sport, like literally, you start out in sport mode with a B sportsmanship rating. These drivers are roughly a B sportsmanship rating, so they're about average. You start out in GG Sport with an E driver rating, but E is the lowest. The lowest sportsmanship rating is also E. So essentially that means about the average driver rating would also be a B. But driver rating, there's only so much some people can do with that, and it depends on talent level. Sportsmanship rating, though, there's tactics where anyone can get a high sportsmanship rating. So essentially, I would consider C more of an average driver rating than C is average sportsmanship rating. Like, I would consider B more of an average sportsmanship rating, but C more of an average driver rating, and essentially that's what this race is on average. But at my very best, I'm an A plus driver rating and an S sportsmanship rating. So I'm doing decently enough working through this field when I only had like 6 minutes to qualify. And I'm gonna admit, as good as I am at one Tokyo Expressway variant, I'm not all that good at this one. I ain't terrible, but the longer a braking point is in a turn, in general, the worse I am at it. And this turn definitely has those. What that was, I don't know. How in the blue places did that car gain that much speed? That one boggles my mind, folks. That was weird. That was weird. I don't know what that was. But again, I'll try to keep it positive, because ultimately it didn't hit anyone with that, so I ain't gonna complain. I mean, as of now, I started in like 7th and I'm 3rd, so while I ain't exactly super close to 1st, I think overall I am gaining time on 1st. So I'll take it. Could be worse. Definitely. I haven't got a penalty this entire race, and look at that. Someone else got a penalty. Was it deserved? I don't know. I wasn't there, so I'll give the benefit of the doubt. This may be the first time I'm really saying this for GG Sport in a long time, but I'll give the benefit of the doubt and say that driver actually deserved the penalty this time instead of an undeserved penalty. I don't know that for sure, but again, I'll try to end on a positive note. I'm going to have to positively be crazy fast if I'm going to want to catch the leader here, folks, because I'm in no man's land. The drivers behind me have a bit of my draft, but I do not have the leader's draft, and this is the final lap. So, essentially, the only shot that I have of catching the leader is if the leader messes up, or if people around me actually want to draft. But there's not tons of people really around me yet, so again, I'm still no man's land. People are catching me right now, but I'm not exactly catching the leader? Or am I? Well, I guess my car is just that much faster on the straight. I caught the leader without draft, but other people, again, were kind of in my draft, so they caught me as well. This is a close race, folks. Hopefully it stays a clean race, or at least it's been cleanest so far, but I consider it quite clean given the general field I'm in. It's, again, not a knock to the field. This is probably about the average of a field in GG Sport, and this is GG Sport after over 2 years the game has been out. So essentially, everyone at this point is an experienced driver. That's just how the driving is now. It's more than anything a basket game more than the drivers. It's hard to blame drivers when racing with each other, because there's a good chance these particular drivers have not raced with each other yet. That's the point of sport mode, is it's a random assortment of drivers who just so happen to be in your skill level-ish. It's not necessarily the same drivers. And that wasn't the most skilled move by me, but that wasn't completely my fault either, because that car had a bit of a run there, but no penalty was given. There was only slight negative. And so I'd still be positive, though, even though I didn't call. But this is about to get positively entertaining, because I don't really have room here, but essentially I was braking at about the same power as that car on my right was. But the problem is the car directly in front of me was braking less. Which is fair enough because it had room to. But because that car braked harder, I don't have anywhere to go now. So I'm going to follow the car that braked harder because it also braked harder. So theoretically, that means I shouldn't necessarily hit it because we're both braking harder. But yeah, that was only minor contact. The first bit, I think I did that as good as I really could. We both braked hard, but I wasn't quite on the apex there when that car was, so therefore it was done braking when I still had a bit of braking left. Was that then run a dive bomb? No, because initially at this point I thought I would have the inside, so I thought it was only going to be too wide at this point, and then not too far after this point that car went out, but then I needed a brake, so I didn't really have time to react there. So it somewhat looked iffy. I didn't have time to make it not look iffy. This, though, might be a little bit more iffy. I braked sort of kind of hard. That car behind me braked way hard. I thought it was going to be 2 wide, but it ended up about being 3 wide. There's no way that car could have been able to do anything, because it, at the very least, would have been 2 wide. In the best case scenario. Because, again, my plan was to make it 2 wide, but it ended up being 3 wide. So that car is going to try to make it 3 wide, and that wasn't going to work, because this was 3 wide here, and that didn't work. So, yeah, that was a bit of a ping physics there, but it wasn't particularly my fault. Now the question is will there be a penalty, even though that was really no one's fault? If anything, it was probably more fourth place there than anything. Hallelujah, they didn't give a penalty. They didn't get GT Sport was actually right for once giving penalties. I don't know, maybe that driver got a penalty, and I wouldn't necessarily mind if that driver did get a penalty. I wouldn't say that was straight up dirty, but I would say that was quite a miscalculation. Mine ended up being a miscalculation, but I didn't know it was going to be until I didn't really have time to change it. So, yeah, I really don't think in real life it would have ping physics that bad for that car. And I definitely feel bad for that car, but I really don't think that car is ever going to win the race anyway. Because it was in the lead with multiple cars there. Like, it could easily block me. Or just one car in general. But it couldn't have blocked 4 others. But now, guess what? I have to block 3 others. I think that one car is pretty much out of the race now. Sadly, it wasn't its fault. But yeah, it seemed like I might end up having to block 3 cars. But again, I figured out the last lap, my car is decently fast on the straight. It doesn't have much of a run. Well then, my car is just extremely overpowered. That was... I'll admit that probably wasn't the end-all be-all cleanest move in the world. But they say you're allowed to make 1 switch on a straight. I feel like that should be extremely relative because this is a crazily long straight. But nonetheless, I did that. I switched my line once. And I didn't get past. While there was contact there, it wasn't much contact. And essentially that car behind me sweeving way more than I did. I sweeved once, that car continuously swove, or sweeved, or however you want to call that. So yeah, it wasn't the cleanest race win for me, but I made it as clean as I could, given the circumstances of pretty much an average GT Sport race. Just on average, GT Sport makes their average races quite terrible. But the race in general was average, but the way GT Sport handled the race was about the best I've seen in a long time. So at least it can end on that. A race with sort of the average of field of drivers. I was able to work my way through the field and just in time be able to win. While it's somewhat in an iffy way, again, I think that's sort of on about the average. Not every race is going to be downright perfect, but I'll give GT Sport credit where it's due. While the races ain't necessarily perfect, they are at least, on average, entertaining in some way, shape, or form. A lot of the times, those ways, shapes, and forms are in angered ways, but This time, at least for me, I'm not so angry. That one car that got ping physics, yeah, I'd probably be a bit angry. But there's one car that ended up with a penalty, and that one car was a TT, so maybe that ended up being that fourth place car to begin with. So, maybe ended up finishing where it was anyway, that car that was initially in first, because it would have got freight trained on the straight anyway, and I realistically don't see it finishing higher than fourth. So, maybe where that car that did cause all that most likely did get that penalty that y'all see here, it ended up sort of kind of working out for everyone who played it correctly. I went from 7th to 1st, so I think it's decent enough to say I played it correctly, but I think it's also decent enough to say since 2001 that I've been playing GT that I've become a decent enough driver. I'm far from the best, but I can at least say the time that I played GT Sport that I have raced with some of the best. I'm very much honored to say that. As much as I don't particularly like GT Sport, especially compared to other GT games, I'd still prefer to play the game in some aspect rather than not at all. Granted, I'd barely be playing the game at all if my copy still worked, but I'd still rather be playing a little bit than none at all. But while I'd only be playing a little bit, it's not worth buying it again, that's for sure. So this is far from the best scenario for the future, but at least for now, though the future is looking iffy, we can end now on a decent note. My final win in GT Sport, I guess, it really and truly is. Well, it's on an alternate account, and it's in just sort of a throwaway sport mode race. It doesn't cover any FIA stuff. At least I ended in an entertaining and fair way. I did everything I could to be clean. I didn't get any penalties. And I was able to cleanly go through the field and win. So that's better than a lot of GT Sport races have been of late. And while this is the last one for until very late, this one was good enough to definitely warrant. Yeehaw!